Yes, my name is Ben Jeffries. I am creating a video for my human resource management class 548 for Professor Bond. I did choose to do the video presentation rather than a PowerPoint. Um, the title of my final paper was The Gender Wage Gap and What Can Be Done. This may be an interesting topic for a male to take on, but as a married man and then as a father of a beautiful young girl, it's something that really started to bug me. Um, and it was a paper that, quite honestly, I was very excited to do some research. You know, not become an expert by any means, but certainly have some level of knowledge um, that if I can pass down to my daughter, then terrific. Um, we happen to live in a very we're fortunate and live in a very affluent area, but where education is very valued, um, and it is very challenging for the students, which is great. Um, but that's for males and females. And one of the biggest concerns I always had was if my daughter's going to put in the work the same way as a male student would, why at the end of the day would she theoretically be paid less? The number that I always heard was women are on average paid about 22% less than men. That number is a little bit less through my research, but still nonetheless is most certainly a large gap. Um, so yeah, that was my premise for wanting to write the paper. Um, and anything that that I learn um, is going to be utilized more for my daughter. It was great to write a paper, and hopefully I do okay on the paper. But the biggest driver was any knowledge that I could indeed give my daughter. What was the biggest driver, quite honestly. So one of the topics that I really a couple of the topics I really explored more than anything was um, is the pay gap in the United is an issue just in the United States, or is it more of a global epidemic? My original hope, quite honestly, was that it was more of a concentration issue of just the United States capitalism, and that women were paid more elsewhere in other first world countries. I could see how in the second, third world countries they wouldn't be, but I really was kind of thinking coming into this that maybe United Kingdom and Australia would perhaps have higher wages or more equal wages to men. And the reason why I was thinking that was primarily was I know on the prime minister side that Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was the first prime minister of the United Kingdom back in the 70s, and then more recently, Australia had a prime minister, a female prime minister in 2010. So my thought was that they were more progressive, as we've not had a president, female president of the United States. Throughout my research, unfortunately, they are our most peer countries. Both of them hover right around 17 or 18% gender wage gap, which is was unfortunate, quite honestly, because I was hoping that in some way we could steal their methods and implement them here in the United States. Again, that was not the case. So, and that is pointed out in the paper. One of the other differences was looking at, is there a psychological difference between males and females? And so I referenced an article from Forbes in which males and females were all paid the same amount of money. They said that, hey, you're going to be paid somewhere between $3 and $10 to play this game. What the contestants didn't know was that everyone was paid $3 to play this game. What's interesting is that everyone complained about only being paid $3. However, men were 9 times more likely to formally complain about the pay, and anyone in this scenario that complained got paid $10. There was no negotiation of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It truly was they just got paid $10. And that men, again, were 9 times more likely to negotiate their pay than women. So I did a little digging there. I think, as a parent, we need to promote our daughters more, give them the confidence to ask for more of a raise. So I don't know that, that's a whole nother paper, quite honestly, is if we raise our boys differently than we raise girls. But we need to give our daughters the values that they are worth it, because they are. And hopefully that instills that they're able to negotiate better in the corporate America structure. So that was eye-opening for me. The last big issue is, what else can be done for future generations to kind of help close the gap. I again followed the same author from Forbes in this instance. She said, which was just, it was shocking to me, that she said at this current rate, while everything, the wage gap is being closed, it would take another 118 years to get to equilibrium, which to me is just, wow. That's a lot. But she did have a couple solutions, which I chose these two solutions. I researched a lot of different methods, but the reason why I like these two the most was they are the quickest and they're also the cheapest for corporations to install. I work in corporate America. Cost is always going to be thought of, why should we make this change? Well, if it's free, then maybe we should make it. So the two changes that quite honestly came up to equal, so that way men and women can make the same amount of money, was implement a pay transparency. Be open about it. One of my former employers, actually, for an entry-level sales position, didn't matter if you had a master's degree, bachelor's degree, high school diploma. If you were going to do X job, you were going to get paid this amount of money. Now, there was incentives tied to it, and if you performed well, then your incentives were higher. But as far as a base salary, you were paid exactly the same. And it was the same way at a director, executive level. They were paid X amount of dollars. They got obviously a lot more of other compensations, whether company car, and so on and so forth, more vacation. The bonus structure was, again, the only thing that was different, and it was how their individual line item actually performed. So that made sense to me. I don't know why we can't do that in a corporate structure. The other topic that she mentioned was eliminate negotiations. As I mentioned prior, it seems that as though from a psychological standpoint, females are not as comfortable entering into negotiation as their male counterparts are. So if negotiations are ended, then everyone should theoretically make the same amount of money. I think this works. My only concern in a competitive landscape is that corporations are going to know what another corporation is paying, and thus, if they want to be competitive over that competition, they're going to pay a little bit more. So while the individuals of the corporations may not negotiate, the competition may occur on the corporate level to where it's going to cause negotiations regardless. So that was my only real concern there. Overall, I really enjoyed this paper. I will certainly take some of what I have learned and pass it off to my daughter. I do, plan to continue to learn more and give her all the tools that I can to best inform her and make her the most equipped as she heads out into this world. So it was a great class, and I thank you for the opportunity to present this. Thanks.